Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Joanna Holden and I am an author of fantasy as well as being an author tuber. And today I just wanted to sit down and have a nice writerly chat about plot holes and fixing plot holes and the burnout that happens because of plot holes. Now, plot holes are something that plague every writer of fiction. If you are trying to create a plot, you're going to have to deal with plot holes. However, I learned something this past week about plot holes that felt like it should have been obvious and like I should have known it all along, and yet somehow it never really sank in until I had to go through this last week. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background. I've been writing on multiple projects this year. If you've been around for a while on my channel or if you've been following me on social media, then you know that I've been balancing writing my fairy tale retellings with writing what I have labeled super secret project. And I'm going to put this out in the open at this point. Sorry, I'm feeling like I don't like this setup right now. I'm going to have to change it later. But for just a little bit of clarification for sake of this video, and since we are getting closer to a time when I'll actually be able to share what super secret project is, Super Secret Project is a co-authored project that my dear writer friend Chalise Robertson and I have been working on since last year sometime. I don't even remember when we started actually sitting down working on this project, but it was in 2018 sometime last year. But we've started drafting it this year, and March I drafted Snowdust, which is a middle grade fairy tale retelling, so middle grade fantasy. Roughly around 40,000 words at this point, and I'm on draft 4, and it's getting very close to being just completely done with editing. Then we come over to May when we started drafting Super Secret Project. I gotta come up with a better name because that's a really long, it's trying to say it fast 5 times. It gets really difficult. But yeah, we started drafting that in May, and we had already been going through crazy amounts of just plot problems and character arc problems and trying to figure stuff out. So we wrote half the book, or close to, and then we took a little bit of a break over the summer so that I could work on other projects, so that she could work on other projects. I started writing Littlehood. I got multiple rounds of Snowdust edits in. And then as we are coming close to the end of the year, we are getting to where we need to go through and finish the book. So we decided we needed to sit down and finalize the outline for the second half of the book so that things would go smoothly and that we could just bust out the chapters like we did in May. Well, this is where things started to go not wrong, just stressful. So when I got my beta feedback from Snowdust, there were some developmental edits that I needed to address. Some things about story and characters that I needed to change. Not a complete overhaul of the whole thing, but enough that I would have to go in and change actual plot points and character arcs. But when I went into Snowdust to do this and to fix these little plot holes, all it took was a little tweak. Add a scene here, lengthen a conversation there, take out this part here, or combine these scenes there. That's all that it took, and problems were solved, and I now have a delightful 4th draft that is ready to start just cleaning up the actual words used. No more plotting, no more characters, none of that. Because it's a middle grade fantasy that was based on a fairy tale, so I already had a ton of stuff to work with. Transfer over to Super Secret Project, and we started trying to plot out the second half of the book, which was already basically plotted. I should point that out. We had gone through so many outlines and plotting points and character arc formulas and everything. We thought we had it all figured out. We sat down last Friday, so not this past Friday, but the Friday before, and we got on a phone call. We're sitting down to try and figure out the second half of the book. And we ended up not just taking up most of both of our day, but also going all the way to 4 a.m. 4 freaking a.m. in the morning. I had gotten to the point in all of this plotting and trying to figure out story and characters where I was acting like a drunk person. I felt like a drunk person. I could not form cohesive sentences. I could comprehend any kind of concepts for what we were trying to come up with. My ideas were all crap. It was bad. We finally just ended the conversation, not because we were finished, but because there was nothing left to draw from. We got to a point where we felt like it was pretty okay. We still had work to do, though, and it was all because of plot holes. With Snow Dust, again, all we had to do, or all I had to do, was go ahead and tweak things here and there to fix things. With this massive project, this giant, not middle grade novel, I might add, with this thing, we would go in to fix a plot hole, fill it up, and it would cause all these little ripples. All these other little plot holes would just pop up. So we would go, on cleanup patrol, try and fix all of that. Well, then it would cause a giant gaping plot hole to come up over here that had not even been thought of. There were at least 2 times, possibly 3. I can't remember that night very well, but there were at least 2 times that night that I know of where I just put my head in my hand and I said, we have written ourselves into a corner and there's no way out. Like, the story is stuck permanently. That's what it felt like. Now, obviously, we were able to get it back out, but it was through so much work, hard work, you guys. Like, when I say, stayed up until 4 a.m., it wasn't, sitting back, sipping a margarita and, or a coffee or whatever, and, just dabbling on the keyboard and throwing back some ideas. Like, we were working. Like, we were sitting there straining our brains to fix the main plot, all the subplots, all the character arcs, all the overlapping character arcs, points of view, backstory. I'm not even going to mention history because that is a story for another day that we are going to tell you guys about when we reveal the project, because that in itself was a monster that neither one of us even likes to talk about anymore, except for joking purposes, because otherwise, if you're not laughing, you're crying. End of the story being, we fixed the plot holes, but it took so much work. And so I wanted to get on here and talk about it because, again, it was one of those things where as a writer, I feel like I should have known that this was going to be a major issue because it's a big story. And yet somehow through working with Snow Dust, I got it in my head that it was going to be easy because it was easy with that particular book. Having to go through that where it got to the point where I gave myself a couple days break from the project so that I could kind of, sleep and recover my sanity. And on Monday, when I was even think about trying to look at the project again and trying to finish unraveling all the problems that we had found, I started getting a headache. Like, I could feel the pain creeping into my temples, and my brain just instantly said, nope, we're done. We're tired. Nope, we're done. And I couldn't do it. I could not do it. All writers face it, though. It's something that we all have to deal with. The more complex everything is, the more plot holes you're going to have, the more struggle there is going to be to figure it out. So from this experience, I'm just going to put out there 2 things that I've gotten from this that hopefully will encourage you if you have had the same having to stay up late at night or get up super early in the morning or work and work and work on stuff that just seems to constantly get thrown out the window. If you've written all these words of outline and then you had to chuck them all at the last minute, I want to offer you a little bit of encouragement. And I'm going to offer it in three specific areas. First is just letting you know that you are not alone. All of us authors have to deal with it. And we keep writing. I guess we hate ourselves. I don't know. The second thing that I wanted to just say as a form of encouragement and as really a form of advice is find a critique partner. Now, granted, this was a co-authored project that we were working on together. We're both writing portions of it. So we had to do this together in order for us to both figure out the story because it's our story, not mine or not hers. But the very first hour of the conversation was actually split up in between our individual high fantasy sagas. She's working on an amazing series, I might add, that's going to be so awesome. I cannot wait to read it. And I'm working on a saga series as well, and they're both in high fantasy, and so we were bouncing ideas off of each other for our own books and for each other's books. And I know that at some point down the road, we're going to have individual calls for that. For my book, I'm going to say, here's the list of plot holes that I've got going on. How the heck do I fix them? And we'll have another 4 a.m. Oh, heaven help us if it's 4 a.m. It won't be 4 a.m. I've learned my lesson. Guys, at some point you do just have to stop, because your brain does just stop functioning. And just when you think that you are this close to finishing, you're really this close to finishing. Seriously, I kept thinking we are this close. We're this close. Well, guess what, guys? We were this close for like 10 hours, and we still ended up not being that close and did not get it finished. So don't stay up till 4 a.m. Sorry, that's a side rant. But just from my personal experience, 4 a.m. is not worth it. Okay, that's my 2 cents. I'll try to calm down now. Where was I? But have a critique partner to go over these problems with you, because they will spot things that you didn't spot. And in a moment, you may hate them for it because, oh, I just got this figured out. But you'll be so grateful. Our story now, our book, is so much stronger and emotionally compelling and complex, and it makes more sense. And also, we ended up finding out by trying to fix the end of the book that we were starting the book in the wrong place. So we were able to go back into the first half of the book and fit in things that tied it all together so much more beautifully, guys. So find the critique partner. And lastly, I just wanted to say, feel free to give yourself a little bit of grace when it comes to how quickly you want to get a project done. Because we had originally anticipated finishing the book in October. For various life change reasons, we moved it to November to decide to do NaNoWriMo. Theoretically, now that things are back in place, we could move it up to October, but we've decided to keep it in November because it took us longer than we anticipated to figure out all the plot holes and get the new outline. But guess what? It's okay. It's okay that we're going to be a month behind. It's okay that it changes, how much later into the year, and even possibly into next year, the writing of the book can take us. I would rather have spent all this time trying to figure out the plot holes and getting them all out of the way, at least to the best of our knowledge, than go ahead and finish the book with all these plot holes knowing that they're in there and choosing not to fix them, and write the book and have to go back and rewrite everything. At times, it is going to feel like you are going a half a step forward and then 10.5 steps back, but it's so worth it. And eventually the plot holes will start filling up, and you won't have the loose ends anymore, and they won't continue to pop up and ripple effect everywhere. And the book will actually be nice and solid and close to being done. So I just wanted to encourage you, if you are going through the insanity of trying to figure out plot holes, whether you are in the plotting stage, or you are in the actual drafting stage, or you have gotten all the way to a beta reading stage and you're just now finding plot holes, I just want to encourage you. It's going to be okay. Just breathe deeply and just keep working, or feel free to take a little break and come back to it tomorrow or next week. Plot holes are a nightmare, but you can get through them, and it's going to be okay. And your book is going to be so much better for you having taken the time to figure them out. So that is all that I have for you today. That is my big rant / advice / encouragement for you out there. If you are struggling with plot holes, just be encouraged. It's gonna be okay. Anything else that you need to know about me, my channel, etc., is in the description box below. You can check out social media and the books I have that are coming up next year. But I am out for now. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Saturday, and I hope that you all have an amazing rest of the weekend writing. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.